If you want any change, definitely including your operational excellence program, to stick in the operation, you really have to guide people through it, not just train them. Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel, where we talk about continuous improvement in an industrial setting. And today's video, it is about one of those a bit less tangible things, but training, we should keep doing it, but there's a big caveat. The short and sweet message of this video is going to be, make sure that you go into the organization and that you actually help people learn. Show and don't just tell. Instead of training, or even worse, throwing a training manual onto the factory floor and just letting them figure it out. So that's going to be the summary. But now, what does that mean in practice, and how do you get there, and how to sort of think about it? This came from a discussion with one of my clients. So Fabian, if you're watching, thank you for that really sharp discussion. That it brought some points home that were already definitely in there somewhere, but this drew it out, and now for all of you to also share. So what is that idea, right? When we set up a lean program, an operational excellence program, TPM, there is quite a serious set of tools, of ways to do things, the methods, the strategy. And I've seen a couple of especially bigger corporate organizations write the manual on continuous improvement for their organization and then dumping that onto the factories, basically. Right? So dumping it lower into the organization. Now, dumping is really not a nice way to say, but this is how it is felt by the production managers, even by the site managers, definitely also. So the operational leaders a bit closer to the shop floor. And that is the idea of having sort of an operational excellence Bible for your own organization, which contains standards for how you set up your KPI meetings, standards for how you then set up the KPI tree, which questions you need to be discussing, how you need to discuss those questions, how the board should look like, how the action list has to look and feel, how many actions can be on there. And I will immediately say quite a big part of that I do share in these videos as well, right? My ideas of how to best do that based on experience. And you would think that there's quite a bit of value in that. And there is, but you need to adjust it practically to the situation. But you also need to take people along in it, and that is super important. And during that journey, be flexible enough to change that big OPEX Bible a bit, but definitely have the patience of actually taking people along on the learning journey. And if you are a continuous improvement specialist, continuous improvement professional, right? An OPEX manager, a Lean Six Sigma black belt, or even an operational manager, then that is your role. It is an important part of your job description to make sure that you can have the other people in your team go through the learning curve and understand things as well. Now, why did I draw this sort of situational leadership framework? Because that's where we're going. It is anytime that somebody is learning a new skill, they go through a similar sort of training, building competence journey, right? And that is the basic premise under the concept of situational leadership. And what we see, we basically have, when we learn a skill, in the beginning, we are not competent, right? We don't know it yet. And in fact, we're not even conscious of that we are not competent. So we don't know what we don't know. Then when you try to learn, at some point you get enough know-how, enough sort of basic skill to at least understand that you are really not a master yet. And then you grow to that you can really do things, but you still have to think about it. And also, maybe more important, you know that you have mastered something. But a true master does it like it's second nature. That learning curve starts from the right. And what is that situational leadership model? It is, how should you guide somebody? So when somebody, and this is this learning curve, it's per skill, right? I told that as well. So these are not complete people. Somebody might be very good at running a meeting and keeping a team of operators happy and organized, like a good team leader, but they're pretty weak at finding a root cause. We want, as one of our OPEX Bible chapters, it is the root cause analysis. One of our standard things we would like to train to people. I'm sure you've done that before. So if we have somebody who's very good as a manager, but just not very good in root cause analysis, for root cause analysis, they are somewhere here. So for their team leadership, somewhere there, we should behave very differently. Probably you and I should not even try to sort of train and teach them. Maybe reflective coaching, but there's a good chance that the team leader is way more competent in that than we are. But for the root cause analysis, if you are sort of in that not really competent stage yet, then the best way to guide such a person is to be directive and not supportive. Now, what does that mean? Directive basically means that you chop down the action into small parts and tell exactly what they need to do, down to the steps. And also, don't even tell all the steps. Go 2 or 3 steps ahead, and every step they do, you check back and update 1 extra step ahead, so that they know just enough so that they can do 1 part of the whole task, and that way get a lot of direct support. It's not very supportive. What does that mean? Well, the supportive part here is much more about to what extent are we going to help with frustrations, help with all kinds of obstacles that they encounter. And you would think that somebody just learning the skill, you need to be very supportive. But no, not really. This is also because a new learner sort of accepts that they'll run into trouble anyway. If you look at sort of the emotional curve people go through when in change or in mourning, then you also see that in the beginning actually energy and motivation is high anyway. People who are new learners, they don't need a lot of supportive behavior. They need direction mainly and not too much around it. They're okay with that they make the mistakes and they run into trouble. They expect it. But at some point when you can do a bit of root cause analysis, but then you got to a wrong root cause, or you made a logic tree as a 5Y tree that isn't very logic, stuff like that, then when you see people start to use the tools, you also have to become way more supportive. When you move over into that they can do it, just not as full masters yet, and they still have to think a bit about it, and they also know that they're doing stuff they only just started to master, then you don't need to be that directive anymore, because they know it, right? They can chop up the action into small steps. But you still do need to be supportive. Supportive of when things go wrong, but definitely also, and this is a thing to remember with the real masters, here people still want to hear positive feedback. They need it. They need to hear that they got there. But when somebody is really good at something, when it's a core task of their job and of their profession, and they can do it, it becomes very patronizing when you tell them, oh, you are so good at talking to that operator. Like, that is sort of what I've been doing for the last 30 years. And so there is a fine line. Of course, still give positive feedback to people, but be very careful. It actually becomes way less needed to be supportive, both in the negatives and also definitely in the positives. So that is, in short, that situational leadership model. Now, this here you can do from a distance. But the directive part, you can say we're going to write it out, and our Bible is going to really be as thick as a traditional Bible, like a 600, 1,000 page book that you can just use to prop open doors if you really need to, or stop a truck from rolling away, it's so heavy. You can do that, but it's almost impossible to really describe all the steps that are needed and have it adjust to the situations. Don't try it. So you can already feel it. When you need to be directive, you need to be on site. You need to be with them. You need to be with the person doing the task. That does not mean you have to hold their hand the whole time, but you need to be readily available. You need to also go out and check what is happening, also see the situation, because they really don't have the skills yet to identify, oh, this is a non-standard situation, I have to change the method a bit. You may, but they cannot. So you need to be there. You need to show it, and you need to show it without being too supportive. Here also still, very directive, you need to and give direction and give support. You need to be with them on site. Here we can already go way more hands-off, right? And this is basically just give somebody a task to be completed, and you don't even say how, right? So this you can do from afar. This you can do by memo, but here not. Now, why is this so important? This is sort of an explanation of why you need to, if you want a tool, a method, a system, whatever new to really land in your organization, you need to go and deploy it. And it is smarter to go to one factory at a time. If you're in a global team, a central team, to go to one factory at a time to really implement the system as a pilot there, and do this for all factories. So not we do 2 pilots. We have our learnings. We put it in the Bible and distribute that. No, we go and make sure that the directive and the supportive organization is in place for each site again. Because if here in this part you do not give good direction, and especially here you do not give direction and support, people will go off the train. They will jump off. So if you go for that sort of emotional roller coaster that happens for change, and that one is a curve like this, with the starting level, then everything's still new and cool, and then ooh, change is hitting. Can I really do this? People really dive into, well, depression is a very tough word for this, but into the darker thoughts of, can I even do this? Will I ever learn? Is there still a place for me in this organization? The thing is, here is often correlated with this. So if you don't support here, instead of climbing up, they will do this and exit either your operational excellence program or your whole organization. So make sure that around that time you are there for them. This time that needs direction and support. And you cannot do that from your corporate office. You can, of course, put a support system in place, but then you first need to train that support system. So in any case, when you want your operational excellence, your lean, your Six Sigma, your TPM, whatever system you have, whatever improvement philosophy you have, basically whatever program you have, but we are continuous improvement professionals, right? Make sure that you go there to deploy, and don't only train. People need to feel, to fail, and to learn from that, and to see that it's not that easy as it was on paper. They need to experience this, and you need to be there for them, especially in this way down and drawing them out of the dip. So that's why in all of your change management and all of your training, be there for your people. Deploy, don't train. If you want my support on deploying any of the systems that I sort of teach you, well, I train through my videos. I don't deploy through my videos that much, a little bit for some of the courses that I offer. But if you want help deploying in your factories, give me a call or a comment or a LinkedIn message, whatever. Get in contact, and I'll see you in the next video. For now, I wish you the best of luck deploying your systems to your people. And as always, don't forget to also enjoy the continuous improvement journey.